Right, kia ora Juliet. After
Kia
a
ora.
long day in the classroom, being prepared to come and do this with me in week 7, I really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Just want to start by thanking you and for allowing me to observe in your classroom. It was a real privilege in there with the little 5-year-olds.
No worries, thank you for coming in.
I want to start by asking you, have you had a chance to have a look at the evidence that I shared through to you?
Yes, I have had a wee look at the evidence. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Do you have any questions?
No questions.
No questions. Cool. So you are happy with that?
Mhm.
Awesome. I thought we might start by looking at the northeast graph and just finding out what you know about that.
Sure. So northeast graph, bottom is relationships and up the other side is the teaching pedagogy. The hot spot is the northeast, high relationships, high teaching
Awesome.
pedagogy.
Yep.
And I know some of the teaching parts are feed forward, feedback, power sharing, prior learning, and co-constructing.
You're really onto it with that stuff.
And down
Well
the
done.
sides is rejecting deficit, high expectations, knowing learners, caring and nurturing, and now I'm on the spot. Kind of forgot
You
my
are
answer.
absolutely welcome to look at the
Thank you.
feedback.
I will
Yep,
have another wee look.
to help you out there.
And knowing learners and managing environment.
You certainly have a very comprehensive understanding of the teaching to the northeast graph, so well done you.
Thank you.
So it's great that you've had an opportunity to have a look at the evidence that I've put together for you, and really appreciate you doing that and taking the time to do that.
No worries.
I just want to talk about the collection of evidence here and how it's structured. So when we're unpacking the evidence, part 1 is 50 seconds of footage that was taken using the Otter app in the classroom that I went away and transcribed for you. And then part 2 here, I know you know this, but I just want to explain it, is the first 10 seconds of every minute. So just understanding that. And then the part 3 was the student voice that I collected at the end of the lesson.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and you're going to have an opportunity to look at that in a bit more depth this afternoon.
Perfect.
So again, I just want to say thanks for your time.
No worries.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you an opportunity to choose where you would like to start today, whether you want to look at 1, 2 or 3.
Start at 1.
Awesome.
Start at the top.
Makes good sense. Just want to clarify that you understand my colour coding and how I've done that.
Yes, I do.
Awesome,
Yeah.
cool. So you do understand the coding colours, that's awesome.
Yes.
All right, well, is there a part of this, having looked at it, that you feel like you would like to start at today?
Maybe rejecting deficit.
Okay.
Start.
Awesome. So when you look at the collection of evidence there, what do you notice?
I noticed that I've got quite a bit of agentic talk, which has been articulated. Possibly because I'm doing a lot of talking in my lesson. It's nice to see that all 4 aspects are covered, I suppose, but I don't have a lot of the language, culture and heritage in there.
Why do you
What do
think
I
that
think?
might be?
I don't know.
If you think about
think-
the context of the lesson that we were doing.
Yeah,
that
it was
day.
a writing lesson, and so I guess keeping it clear and try not to overcomplicate it with too much language, like keeping the using maybe Māori as just the commands as opposed to overcomplicating the structure, because it's structured literacy, so keeping it as what they know.
Awesome, and it's great to see that you've thought about that yourself and you've reflected on that. Why do you think it is that you have so much agentic talk in there?
Well, I think them being the age that they are, they need lots of positive praise, lots of scaffolding, sort of lots of feedback.
And the evidence shows that, doesn't it?
Lots of praise, I guess, because they're juniors, I suppose. Yeah.
How do you feel about the amount that you've got there? What would you say about that?
I feel good about that. It's good to know that I'm giving a lot of positive praise. I could probably vary the feedback that I'm doing, but I think, yeah.
Okay.
I quite like this quite a lot.
So thinking about the rating system that we've got there, 1 being no evidence gathered at all, 2 little evidence, 3 some evidence, lots of evidence, 4, and great deal of evidence, 5, for rejecting deficit explanations for students' learning. Where would you rate yourself?
I think there's a good deal of evidence, probably not so much here, so I'd probably be in between there, maybe. So maybe,
What do you want to rate yourself as?
I'd probably maybe lots if there looks
Okay,
like quite
awesome.
a lot.
So a 4.
Yep, there's definitely gaps in there.
That's really good reflection,
But,
Juliet. Yep.
Yeah.
Are there any students that you think about when you notice what your lesson's missing? Especially down here. Are there any students?
There is. I have quite a high number of ESOL students in my class, so possibly making it a little bit more inclusive with their language, or even in the sense that I acknowledge, but also making it nice and clear for them.
Great reflection, Juliet. Really well done. So are you happy to carry on just in this section?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll move to the next area. So this one is caring for and nurturing the learner, including their language and culture. So I just want you to, again, and I'm going to use that same question I used before, what do you notice about the evidence that's been collected?
It's good to see it's all covered. I've sort of got a little bit in each point, which is good. Probably shows that I'm talking a lot in my lesson.
Why do you think that is?
I think just because of the age that they are. They need lots of scaffolding, lots of direction, and lots of just reminding that they're on the right track, I guess. And modelling as well, for the first part of it, requires lots of scaffolding and co-constructing and things like that.
Why do you think you have so much here in this section?
So using a lot of prior learning in the lesson, which is quite good that I've done that. Constantly going back, touching on what we learned, what they know, and they need lots and lots of reminders and prior learning. And instead of just assuming that they know what they know, really going back and being explicit about it.
And it really was quite explicit evidence that I collected. So that is exactly what you've just said there. So awesome. Where would you rate yourself for that section, Juliet?
I think maybe 4 again. I think I've covered each aspect. It's not perfect, but I think there's, enough evidence.
Yeah, good job. Awesome. Okay, we'll just keep moving through again. We're going to look at voicing and demonstrating high expectations. A few more indicators in this section than in the previous one. What do you notice there with the evidence?
It's probably really, it's all covered, but there's probably less in each point. But yeah, good to see that I've covered all of the aspects.
Is there anything that stands out there as being really clearly something that you're confident with in that section?
I think possibly the clearly explaining the learning and what the learning involves. But again, I think that is also scaffolding for the juniors as well. And probably what would be lacking would be the talking about the short and long-term goals would probably be something that I would need to work on, I reckon. especially long-term goals. Like short-term kind of talk about, but
So
I probably need to go back and talk more about
So
it.
this voice was collected when you were working with the students in your group.
Yes.
So collectively, are you meaning more with the whole class?
Probably
you could
more
talk
consistent.
about your goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it probably happens more when I'm working one-on-one, but I think, when there's the ones that are working independently, probably making sure that they know their short-term and long-term goals.
Okay.
Because I probably talk about it at the start, and then
You're answering my next question. I was going to ask you, what would you do differently in this lesson?
I would probably explicitly talk about it at the start, but then I would make sure that each learner is aware of their short-term and long-term goals, because each will have different needs and goals.
Okay.
And make sure that they're all individually aware.
Well done, Julie. Where would you like to rate yourself for that
Maybe
section?
3.
Okay. And sure, you're not being too...
Maybe. Or maybe a 4. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's covered. Yeah. Probably in the just a 4, maybe.
Okay. So the next section is ensuring that all learners can learn in a well-managed environment. So you can see there we've collected for the 2 points there, sample of evidence. What do you think about that?
Good that they're both covered. I probably use quite a bit of non-confrontational management strategies, especially during MAC times and things like that. I noticed that there is a couple of points in the well-organised and clear routines, which is good, as I rely a lot on the routines and organisation.
Why do you think it's important to be really well organised in your writing program?
So the kid, they know what to do, they know what's expected of them. They can develop a level of independence that they can rely on because of the routines, I guess. Yeah.
Very good. Where would you rate yourself for this one? So we're going down here.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Maybe a 3.
Cool. Okay, we're just about finished section 1. So last section we have to look at is knowing what students need to learn. What does the evidence tell us about your ability with structured literacy?
It does tell me that I know a bit of what they need to learn, which is good. I've got lots of evidence in the subject knowledge.
It's very clear, isn't it?
Yeah, and the which is good, and possibly could incorporate more pedagogical imagination. But there is a wee bit, I guess, that relates to the structured literacy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and it helps the students understand what you're doing.
Yeah, they can kind of.
How might you incorporate that then? How could you in this sort of lesson? What could you do to incorporate routine subject knowledge with pedagogical imagination? Because what the evidence is telling me is that you are doing that. Have a think about what you've written there, or what I've written there from what you said, and think about, is that helping kids understand what you're doing?
Yeah, no, it is. Definitely is. Yeah,
it really is.
They can hang it on to something using their imagination, I guess. So yeah.
And you make the learning. If we go back to another section here, we collected lots of evidence as well. Is the learning experience in itself. The teacher knows their subject knowledge, but not that. The bit where culturally appropriate and responsive learning context. The context. What did you notice about all the kids in your class with that context or that choice?
Oh, well, they could all write about it because they all had, someone they were bringing, a special friend or a grandparent or something that they were going to bring or they had. So they all had something to write about or draw on.
And that's the whole context of your grandparents' day. So it was an event that you were
Yes.
writing about. It's powerful for them, eh? Really good. So knowing what students need to learn and understanding that in writing, you're linking it at their age to personal experience. Where are you going to rate yourself there?
Probably a 4. I think there's,
Very. So how are you feeling about that so far then?
Pretty good.
Juliet,
It's good
where you've
to
rated
see,
yourself.
Yeah. It's good to see good evidence and also gaps that I can work on as well.
I'm thinking about it. So for next time. So
Yeah.
well done. Is there would you like to look at the student voice, or would you like to look at part 2 now?
Part 2.
Okay,
Part 2.
awesome.
Yeah.
We'll just work our way through. So I sent this through to you.
Yes.
And you had a wee look, and I've tallied it up there for you, just so at a quick glance we can see
Yeah.
your totals, so your interaction totals. Is there anything there that is standing out to you? Thinking about your lesson and the kids that you are working with?
Yeah, so I guess I do a lot of co-constructing with modelling and lacking with the feed forward, which would definitely be a work on.
I just want to note, at different times in the lesson, 10 seconds was very slow to collect. Why do you think that might be? What do you notice that you do when you talk to the kids?
Probably slow it down, slow my talking down quite a bit for them.
So when you look at the collection, some of it, obviously some's inaudible or it was instructional, but some of the blocks have very few words and then others have quite a substantial more.
Yeah,
so
it's
just
quite
show,
interesting, eh?
yeah, what do you think about that? Because that's...
Possibly maybe if I'm trying to teach something a bit more explicit or give instructions, I might be slower. But then it might be sped up if I know, if it's part of a routine or something that they already know.
So how are you feeling so far about everything?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what I want. So, section 2, totals for interactions and the location of the teacher. What do you notice about location of the teacher? Do you want to talk about that?
So I'm seated quite a lot, sitting.
Is there a purpose for
Well, so first part is modelling, second part is still guided writing, so it probably doesn't leave me as much chance to get round the others. They probably more come up. Sometimes if I have an opportunity I could go and pop over, but I probably need to make myself a little bit more available to go around, give feedback, feed forward
So
as they're going, as opposed
was
to
in the other 50 seconds when you transitioned the kids and you stood up and gave instructions and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about this section then?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting seeing the different parts, and yeah, I guess lots of my recording will be instructional because I'm talking a lot.
What do you think about interactions between boys and girls?
That's probably balanced because I do have a few more boys than girls, and so yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
And your Indigenous other,
Yeah.
feel like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So as the other
So it may be any other students of other
cultures.
ethnic,
that's probably quite interesting because possibly because they're ESOL, there might not be, confident to initiate an interaction first. Yeah. So I probably need to be aware of that a bit more.
Okay. So we've probably moved on to a point where we can set some goals for you for future observation. Shall we have a wee think about what you'd like to do there? Let's record your ratings on this page too, and then so we've got for that one you've given yourself a 4. Next one, sorry, I'm just getting myself together there.
Right.
4, and you've given yourself a 3 and then a 4. So having a look at that, is there a context there for a possible goal for you?
Yes, if I'm looking at my score, I would probably...
And actually, I've just realised we're jumping ahead because actually we need to look at your student voice first.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Do that first.
We'll do that. I'm just too efficient here, aren't we? Right, so let's have a look. And these were your 3 students that we looked at, and you shared the learning intention for the lesson with me, which was write a story about our grandparents for Grandparents' Day. And the success criteria that you set for the lesson was we will write at least 1 sentence. I will use capital letters in the right place. I will reread my writing to check it makes sense. And I know that that lesson would have gone over a number of days because you had students that didn't actually get to work with you in the group, did they?
Yeah.
So out of the 3 students that I spoke to, when I asked, what are you learning today? One of the students said, sorry, I have recorded it there. When I said, how do you know how well you are going? One of the students said, go back and read it. And then student 2 said, I'm going to try my best. And student 3 said, I'm trying my best. So if you were going to rate the students, where would you pop them on there?
Possibly not very high on that one because they weren't able to, I guess, link it back to the success criteria.
Okay.
I guess one of them was go back and read it, that related back to the success criteria.
So you rate them for me. We'll do A, B, C, and then I can type that later for you.
Do I do each one?
Yeah, I think so. Just put your letter on the line.
So writing about grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably what we were doing.
Yeah.
Writing a letter separate.
Oh, that's right. I've read the wrong one to you. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Done really well to find the mistake there and fix that up. Thank you. Some writing about our grandparents. Yeah, so pretty.
Yeah, so that's probably.
They all kind of understood that, didn't they?
And this was a follow-up activity, so this wasn't really directed to the learning. So
no, which you spent quite a bit of time doing at the beginning, didn't you? Yeah, so cool. Awesome. Activity. Okay, so the next one, how do you know how well you are going?
That's not too bad because we do talk about you need to go back and read it to make sure that it makes sense. So that's one aspect of the success criteria.
Yeah.
Trying my best. I mean, we talk about trying our best and
all the
like
time,
that, but it's not quite specific to the learning intention. So next steps.
What do you think are your next steps?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Remembering full stops, doing some commas. So I think those
they were pretty good, weren't they? They were quite good.
And not sure.
How do you feel about one student not being, out of a collection of 3 and there are only 5?
It's not too bad. I'm quite surprised that they're able to. They're quite articulate and being able to talk about their learning. So I'm quite happy with that.
Really good.
Yeah.
So looking at the collection of everything that we've looked at today, let's set some goals now instead of me jumping ahead.
That's okay.
Forgetting the most important part was the student voice. But anyway, we'll have a laugh about that later. Okay. So let's have a think about a goal for yourself, Juliet.
I think I probably want to go around feed forward during the lesson. So feeding back but also being explicit with the feed forward. So I would definitely do something around that.
Okay, so are you happy for me to record or would you like to?
Yeah, you can record.
Okay, so feed forward and collecting a bit more evidence in that, wanting to see that when I come for the follow-up.
Absolutely.
So feed forward and the collection of the 10-second footage. Yeah. And you did have a wee interruption right at the end of the lesson that wee fella in your class got quite upset, so we just didn't quite capture that last little bit, did we?
That's all right. But and then I'm probably making sure checking also, I guess that comes as part of the feed forward, is making sure my English as a second language students are also getting explicit feedback and feed forward, which will help me gain a bit of an understanding on what their understanding is as well of their learning. and make sure I'm not just seated. I'm a bit more mobile with my,
Awesome.
which could be under that as well.
So more mobile. What about up here?
You're
doing really well. You're setting lots of good, valuable stuff.
I'd probably go for the 3 because that's my lowest one. So well-managed environment. And
ensuring that all learners can learn in a well-managed.
I guess maybe I could do something around when they're finished with that routine. Maybe have some visuals or something as well, so that they are clear with their routine. But also giving them maybe more chances to learn as a group or a peer. So maybe some group activities as well.
Well, I really want to congratulate you for the lesson that I saw. Well, as I said at the beginning, it was a real privilege to be in your room. The students were totally engaged in the lesson, and that's a credit to you, Juliet. And I just think it's really important that we schedule a follow-up session,
Absolutely.
so that we can come back and look and see the progress that you're making.
Absolutely.
So when would be a good time for you? I know it's really busy this term.
Do you want to do it at the end of the term?
Yeah, maybe we'll have some release that time, and we can do that then.
Yeah,
Yep.
9.
Awesome.
Maybe.
And then we'll come and we'll look at that area that you want to work on and those things, and I will type this up for you.
Perfect.
And then send it through to you so you have a copy.
Awesome.
I'll add it to what I've already shared to you in the Google Doc, and I'll put on it the goal where you've marked the students on the continuum there. And I just want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Very
It's been
much.
very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.